Hello, Andy, can you hear me? Okay. Just so I get the right levels and everything, could you just give me your name and how you'd like to be addressed?
Yeah, I'm Andy McDonald, Member of Parliament for Middlesbrough, and I'm quite happy just with my ordinary name. Yeah.
Okay, Andy, so, first of all, how did it feel when you heard that you'd been given the Shadow Rail Minister job?
Well, it was terrifically exciting because I have done a lot of work on rail-related issues in terms of with my constituency hat on, because there are matters that I want to progress in terms of investment in the railways, in particular the connectivity of Tees Valley to not only London but the rest of the north of England. So I've been making many representations about all of that. So to be given the Shadow Rail brief was completely thrilling. It's a terrific honour to be asked to do this. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And what exactly will the job involve?
Well, in terms of function, my task will be to lead for the Labour Party in some of the big issues that are coming up, in particular the passage of the HS2 bill that's going to be going through Parliament, but importantly as well, developing the policy of the Labour Party opposite our conference decision to embrace the concept of public ownership for the railway network, and so it's a question of trying to develop that over this period running up to 2020, so that we've got a well worked out, worked through policy that we can put to the British people, because there is undoubtedly an appetite for it, because people look at how we're currently configured, and it is extremely wasteful. The McNulty report identified huge inefficiencies in the system, and a lot of taxpayers' money is leaking out into shareholder dividends that are going to support the railway industry of our neighbouring European Union countries. So we've got to have a think about that and how we derive best value for money for the taxpayer, because railways always require subsidy, but when taxpayers are funding other companies, we've got to ask ourselves whether that's the best use of our resources.
Is there any excuse me? Is there any risk that with your new job of the Shadow Rail Minister, you won't have as much time to deal with the day-to-day issues of being within your constituency?
Well, I certainly hope not. The way I've configured my staffing arrangements means that I am brilliantly equipped with people in Middlesbrough. I have an accessible office, and people are contacting my office every single day, and my staff are brilliant about getting on and progressing matters. And the surgeries that I run will continue. They're not going to change, and my engagement in the community isn't going to change one jot. I think whilst I'm here in Westminster, my focus will undoubtedly have to narrow down. I perhaps won't be involved in the wide spread of matters that I once was, but I won't be wholly and utterly, exclusively devoted to rail, because there are other important matters that impact upon my constituents. So I need to be across all of those issues: economic development and encouraging the creation of jobs, and trying to help where I can on that is absolutely and utterly key. But in fact, the rail brief feeds into all of that.
Were you surprised to get the job?
Once I knew there was a vacancy, I confess I was hoping that I might be approached, because I thought that presents a good opportunity, and perhaps that's why I was, because I had actually participated in a lot of campaigns and debates about electrification, about connectivity, about the northern franchises, and of course course, trying to keep East Coast Main Line in public ownership. So perhaps it wasn't a huge surprise. At the back of my mind, I thought, well, that might be useful, and to get the call was a real honour. It really was.
I mean, had you asked Jeremy Corbyn for the job before?
No,
beforehand?
not at all. I've known Jeremy for a number of years since I came into Parliament, because I served with him on the Justice Select Committee. We've probably got to know each other a little through that. So he perhaps was able to refer back to his knowledge of me there, and think I might play a role here.
It's fair to say that the Labour Party at the moment doesn't seem. There seems to be quite a bit of division within the party. Do you feel that the Labour Party can sort of join together and unite as a formidable opposition?
Well, it certainly can, and it must. We've got huge issues on a daily basis. We just cast our minds across the last several weeks with these terrible floods that have impacted across the country, and we've got our junior doctors striking.
Did you support? I was just going to ask if you supported the junior doctors' strike.
Yes, I do. If you ask yourself the question, if doctors are saying that what's being proposed will render the arrangements unsafe in terms of patient safety, then any sensible Secretary of State would listen to that. These are not unreasonable people who would take industrial action on a false premise. This is as an absolute last resort. So I think they are standing up for the National Health Service, because if they continue as we are, then the damage that will be caused on National Health Service will be fundamental and far-reaching, and I think they demand our support. They're worthy of our support, and I've no compunction in giving it.
Would you support the strike even if they didn't provide emergency care?
Well, this is now up to the Secretary of State. I mean, he was distinctly absent yesterday. He's got to come to his senses, and he should be leading discussions and negotiations, not having himself 2 and 3 steps removed from the process. He knows what's been set out in those proposals, and let's cross those bridges when we come to them. But he's got an opportunity today to sit down with these doctors and their representatives and VMA to sort this out, and he's got to get round the table and sort it. That's what's got to happen. We don't want any more strikes. We want to avoid them and get this issue resolved.
Now, of course, just 2 days ago, the excuse me, sad news that David Bowie had passed on. You, as I understand, you're a musician yourself. What did David Bowie mean to you personally?
Well, I think he's much more than just a musician or a singer-songwriter. I actually think some of the songs are absolutely wonderful, and I was sort of a bit shocked to find out the ones that I liked he wasn't so impressed by, in terms of what he would describe as a more commercial period. But nevertheless, I still think they were good. But ever since he arrived on the scene, I didn't realise it was back in 1969 when he first appeared. So that was probably impacted upon me as an 11-year-old. But in truth, I probably wasn't aware of him that much until the Ziggy Stardust albums and those manifestations later on. But it's much more than just this singer-songwriter. It was the whole art and social impact that he's had. I mean, I think as we're able to look back now, we can just see how important his influence was in changing people's outlook in terms of individuality and sex and sexuality, and that he was hugely influential on that. And in part, I think, well, in very large part, I think he's added to the spirit and the ability of people in this country and elsewhere to be the people they want to be. And I think that is actually as important as the sounds he made as a musician. It was that whole genre of saying, you know, we don't have to be constrained. I mean, it was very challenging to the establishment and very unnerving. But if we look back now, I think, well, you know, what's the fuss about? Be who you want to be. I think that's what I sort of hold with David Bowie. I also remember my brother teaching in a school in Leeds, and the headmaster remonstrating the students from the platform because of the graffiti in the school, and warning that if he ever got hold of David Bowie, there would be hell to pay. So I thought that always sticks in my mind when I think about David Bowie.
Do you think
how to touch people well.
Do you think he changed modern Britain? I mean, Robert Peston wrote on the day that he died that for him, if he had to vote on the greatest Britain of the modern age, he would probably vote for David Bowie. Do you think he changed modern Britain?
Well, it depends what you mean on the modern age. I'd probably say Clement Attlee, but never mind. That's another matter. But yeah,
okay, from the sort of 70s onwards.
I don't demur from that, because I think he did shift things in a way that through non-traditional means, and it's that freedom that he has brought about. You know, would we have made such progress in terms of gender and sexuality without his influence? I'm not sure. I think that was incredibly powerful, and he did that through his musical profile and that constant reinvention, and it's very challenging. So I think Robert's right. I think his influence cannot be underestimated.
If you don't mind me asking, what did you do when you'd heard that he'd passed? Did you?
I was really shocked. I mean, sadly, you know, if you got the television news on, you do hear about sort of iconic figures and famous people dying, and it's, you think, you know, how terribly sad. You know, had Lemmy from what had dying a few weeks ago, and you know, all of those that you acknowledge. But I think with David Bowie, it was, you know, oh really? That's just terribly shocking. And also because he was only 69, you know, and that seems these days a very young age to pass away. But it was a John Lennon moment. It was, you know, my goodness me, this is an important figure that's no longer here. But the influence is, you know, that's there, and it can never be eradicated. So very few people pass this away with making such a massive influence as Bowie, and he'd be remembered for that.
Okay, Andy. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the interview?
No, just to let people be assured that my ambitions for Middlesbrough and Teesside are totally and utterly undimmed. And in fact, in this new role I have, I hope to be able to make a major contribution. So I'm looking forward to continue to be of service to the people of Middlesbrough and Teesside.
Okay, Andy, thank you for the interview.
In the studio, we have Fiona and Rama. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, as I say, it's a very serious subject, and a subject that should be talked about because it's, well,